Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We caught up earlier today with Rob McLeod, who's CEO of Heatherdale Resources. Soon to be a name change. I won't spoil the surprise. They have picked up a project from HDI. They're reinterpreting the geological data and they've done a little bit of drilling, waiting for assay results to come out. Talk through his business plan, thoughts on how they move this company forward. Raised some money last August. Going to need to raise again sometime soon. So if you want our thoughts and opinions on that conversation, the company, you can check that out at cruxinvestor.com/club, where you can also find detailed company reports and analysis. There are commentaries from experts from around the world on a variety of commodities in our weekly shows and also some companies. Plus, we have training courses on there to help you with your diligence process. We also do summaries of interviews that we've done just to save you some time because we know you're busy. And if you want to join a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, friendly, safe environment, free from trolling and abuse and judgment, go and join them at cruxinvestor.com/club. I hope you think that sounds nice because it really is. And we love your feedback too. So do give us a like. We appreciate it. Leave your comments below. Get back to everyone. And if you want to see precisely what we talked about today, do take a look in the description. Rob, how are you doing, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, Matt.
Well, glad to have you on. Thank you very much for coming on talking to us about your lovely company, Heatherdale Resources. First of all, where in the world are you?
So I am currently in North Vancouver, British Columbia, in my home province. I'm a third generation miner from BC, originally from Stewart, BC, right in the heart of the Golden Triangle.
Wowzers. Third generation. You must know a thing or two.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right. Why don't we kick off? Give us that 1 minute overview of your business, then I'll pick it up from there.
Yeah, you bet. So I'm the CEO of Heatherdale Resources. We are currently exploring an advanced stage copper, gold, silver, and zinc deposit located in Southeast Alaska. But part of our greater business model is not only to continue to explore and grow the size of that deposit, but to look at other opportunities that would be synergistic with Niblack and potentially with like a hub and spoke mill and tailings type scenario.
Okay, well, let's get into the business plan in a second. So who are you? What's your experience? Third generation mining, I get it, but in what context?
Yeah, so I'm a geologist by training. Spent sort of the first decade working, usually I kept going further and further north. So Alaska, Yukon, northern British Columbia, up in Nunavut. Spent actually quite a bit of time down in Nevada. But started the junior game in the early 2000s. My first big win was I was the founder and VP exploration for Underworld Resources, which made a big gold discovery in 2009 up in the Yukon. And we sold that company to Kinross. And my most recent company was IDM Mining, which had an advanced stage gold project outside of my hometown of Stewart called Red Mountain. And 2 years ago, that company was acquired by Ascot Resources, which is currently doing this similar hub and spoke type operation with their Premier project, which is actually somewhat inspiring to what we want to do on the base metal side with Niblack.
Okay, and the examples you give, Underworld, did you make money for shareholders though? I get the acquisition, but talk us through what the deals look like for shareholders.
Underworld was a big win for our subscribers. We had a great share structure going in. Actually, it was, we really made the discovery in 2008, right when markets were crashing. We had a discovery hole that was shut down halfway into the ore body and stuff. And it wasn't really in 2009 that things took off. It didn't take long. And that was a super hot market coming out of the Great Recession for 2010 when we were acquired. Now, with IDM Mining, to be honest, learned a lot from that company. We did everything right on the technical side, grew a resource, did a feasibility study, got everything permitted. But it was really challenging market. So it was the type of transaction where combining the synergies between the two projects was so compelling that you had to take that opportunity to shareholders. So it was a good example for me. By far the biggest one, maintain that share structure. It's the most important thing that you can do as a CEO. Avoid financing with warrants. Don't have that type of overhang. And, it's like everything we do in life is try to do things better and better each time. So IDM was a success, but in terms of being massive win for shareholders, in full honesty, it wasn't.
Okay. So, to that point, and I'm going to bounce around a bit here initially until we kind of get into it, but you raised some money recently, about 5.8 million. So you're saying no warrants attached?
Yeah, no. So we have a little over 22 million shares outstanding, and it's 24 fully diluted. So just with stock options and a few broker warrants. But warrants really kill company momentum. I'm not a big fan of them. As an investor, I like them because they're free roll of the dice, but they end up being an overhead. They can really kill the momentum in a stock. So no, we're keeping it tight and doing discounted finance.
And you did a rollback as well along the way, which helped. Okay, understood. So nice tight share structure, balance sheet, nice and tidy right now.
Yeah, and so what we did with that, we closed that financing last fall. We started rehabilitation there's like a full-size production underground ramp on this property to facilitate underground drilling. However, there was, and I'm going to give full credit to two geologists that were working under the previous management. In fact, one was a master's student that really made a big geological breakthrough on the Niblack project subsequent to the last round of drilling. And this is what, to our team, was really compelling.
Do you mind if we come? I want to kind of get the sequential order because I want to work out what I'm buying into here. What's the big idea in your head? Okay, so how long have you been at it in this company, Heatherdale, in its current form? And I want to get into the business plan. What are you setting out to try to be? Because you've used the phrase where you're dealing with an advanced stage project, and that means lots of things to different people. Yeah. So let's get back to the beginning. What do you set out to try and build?
So the genesis for our current management team's involvement in this company is that Heatherdale Resources was, prior to me taking over as CEO in June, was essentially dormant for almost 7 or 8 years. It was managed out of the Hunter Dickinson group of companies here in Vancouver. They during when times kind of got tough on the market side, they focused on a few other companies. So there's a bunch of related party debt that we had purchased and we had converted into shares. Yes, we rolled it back and financed the company, and the new company came in. But it was this new geological interpretation, how this project and the vehicle itself, the company, could really fit into what our vision is, which is for a hub and spoke type, high grade, base metal driven series of operations located in Southeast Alaska or Northwest BC.
So you've taken a HDI hand-me-down and you're going to try and do something with it. Is that the idea?
Yeah, so we took that related party debt, bought it, converted it into shares. We'll be changing the name of it as well too. What better way of burying the bodies than a good name change? So we're going to be changing to Black Wolf Copper and Gold in the next month.
Say that again. What are you going to call it? Black
Wolf Copper and Gold.
Black Wolf Copper and Gold. Sounds terrifying.
Yeah. So a bit of a personal story. Outside Stewart is a very small, remote community in Northwest BC. And there are 2 wolf packs that populate the area. One is like your typical gray wolves, and there's another that are black. And when I was a kid, I was terrified of wolves. You'd hear them howling as I'm laying in bed at night. I'd go sprinting out to start the fire in the morning. You'd see them walking into work. And I've always had a fascination with them, but it's also, kind of, my spirit animal is a Vizsla. That's a completely, and not Vizsla Resources. That's a complete different side. But my second spirit animal would be wolf. So that black wolf was the inspiration.
So you're terrified of your spirit animal. I like that.
Well, I was when I was a kid.
Right.
Still a little bit, I guess.
I think I was frightened of clowns. I'd like to see a resource company called Clown Resources. But I think there's a few CEOs who act like it, but haven't got the naming right there yet. But let's talk about you. Let's talk about you. Right. So you've taken an asset which was, let's say, it wasn't in favor of HDI. Okay. This was something that they chose not to focus on. You see something different though, and you've labeled it as advanced stage. What does that actually mean?
So advanced stage is that there's been a lot of sunk costs on it. There's a significant current resource. Most of it's in the indicated category, about 6 million tons of indicated resources, 1.7% copper or grams gold, little under percent copper, plus 4% zinc, ounce of silver, and then about 3 million tons of inferred resources. So there's already a substantial base. There's that full-size production ramp. It's located right on Tidewater. But where what we saw as the real opportunity was on this new geological interpretation, which is really quite clever and some really good science that was done by some pretty impressive geologists subsequent to the last round of drilling.
But you got to tell me more about this one, because the amount of stories that go around, amount of mines that go around the block 3-4 times, the stories come into market and someone's going to reinterpret the data and it's always going to be better. What's so different about yours?
So the interpret now, I remember actually some of the discoveries out here, because I used to work for Lac Minerals, which was a gold miner back in the 1990s. And I remember when the discovery hole for one of the zones out there was cored. My old boss, a guy named Garfield McVeigh, poured a bottle of scotch down the drill hole. We were surprised he didn't filter it through his kidneys first, but anyways, it was this big breakthrough, and big wide intercepts of massive sulfide. And nice and coarse, really good looking stuff. But it's folded over on itself. So it's like, you have to be a really clever geologist that knows your structural geology to make some breakthroughs. So the project would get a whole bunch of traction. Steve Toderick was running it in the 90s and really grew the resource. And then kind of they run out of steam. And then Patty Nickel came in 2000, really made some progress, and then started to run out of cash and steam. And then this master's thesis came in and said, you know what, I'm going to do some really good geology here, this student. And he did precise radiometric age dates. Now, this is a VMS, a black smoker type system that formed, 550 million years ago at the bottom of the ocean. So he took age dates of all the different host rocks, it's like a layer cake. And what he found out is the whole sequence is overturned. And so the interpretation that you have, if it's right side up, it's like, take a piece of paper or a towel or something and flip it over. You have a completely different strike extent. You drill it completely differently. So we tested this last fall with our drilling program in and around. This is a historic producer from 100 years ago. And they thought that there was this antiform, a fold that's like an upside down U. So it's bound by a fault on one side, and it's eroded away on the other. So there's just one little limb. Based on this new interpretation, we came in and we said this one particular zone, the old mine, is shaped like a U. So we verified it. We got those results that are coming out in April. I'm not a fan of disclosing visual results, even if it's a massive sulfide type project, but it was a big geological eureka moment for this project. So, based on everything we see, we've got, I can see potential, and with all the disclaimers in the world, what do we want to try and grow the thing to is based on the strike extent, based on the history of comparable deposits like Greens Creek, which is Hecla's big mine in Alaska, which is located north of us. It's different age, different belt, but that started with 3 million tons. Now it's over 30. Myra Falls in Vancouver Island, similarly, started off just a couple of million tons. Now it's probably around 50 million tons. So you get the geology figured out, you keep chasing that layer, and more tons will come. So it's that exploration upside we're super excited about.
Right. Okay. So you've got a little bit of money in the bank. How much money have you got now?
So we are just moving out to drill again as of, I think this is the end of January. It's just at the end of February, we had like 1.8 or so.
Right. Okay.
So there's a lot of rehabilitation on the site.
Right. Okay. So you've done a lot of rehabilitation. You've done some drilling. Because I guess what you're going to need to tell the market, what you need to tell people like me, is when you've kind of got more confirmation of the theory you have around the geological setting there. So we're talking what, April? We'll get to hear that.
So that's when we have assays results. We disclosed back in January our findings more on the geological side. This is only one area of the property that we drilled. Where we didn't, because we were really happy with the way this drilling was going in this one area, we did not go to drill actually what was our primary target, which is drilling down dip from the main ore body. How do you want to grow it? Keep on drilling further down dip. So we'll be moving out there this month to continue to drill to grow the deposit, following up on previous high grade hits. We'll also be drilling out along strike. So, these will be more accretive exploration program or drilling. The round we did in the fall was to try and find yet an additional zone that we could add an updated resource.
Right. The difficulties with smaller, what do you like to say, 17, 18 million market cap with, just under $2 million cash available to you, is you've got to try and achieve a lot. You've got to manage market expectations. The geology is something that you want to try and understand, do the best geology possible, but sometimes you need headlines. So how do you, because you're going to need to raise money soon, presumably, to do all the things you want to do. You've got a big land package. You're polymetallic. Yeah. So that in itself brings problems. So there's lots of different aspects that you're going to need to try and manage. So I'm intrigued as to how you move this thing forward, if you do go and raise money, because I'm looking, you've been sort of flatlining since, let's say July. People got excited about what you were doing at the beginning of last year, even despite COVID, positive precious metal environment, admittedly, but it's been flatlining. So people are not understanding the story yet, right? Because they expect more information from you, more data from you, and that's going to cost you money to do that. So how do you see this thing going forward? How do you manage this process as a, small junior, 18 million market cap junior?
So these companies move, well, there's different ways you can move it. You can promote it, and you can really promote it, and you can start getting that momentum going. But eventually that comes back on you. So we did not elect to do that type of strategy. Where you get momentum is from results. And so, of course, every drill you hole, you're rolling the dice. Some are pretty good odds, some are long shot. Once we start getting some traction with drill results, and actually you combine that with marketing, that's when we're going to get some momentum. Like the valuation, of course, for the company right now is way undervalued. Anybody, you look at a comparable look of a group of peers, there you go. Like we just released metallurgy. That can be a big bugaboo for polymetallic deposits. Actually, I like to call it's like binary. Good metallurgy doesn't make your stock go up, but bad metallurgy can sure make it go down. So great metallurgy, but this is also, it's a bulk mineable ore body. And so, I understand you really like to educate your viewers in terms of, all the different aspects that they should look at. And it's a wide ore body. It's up to 100 meters wide underground. So you can do low cost, long hole stoping, the type of bulk mining that the producers want to have. So, and, the other major component where I think that these type of high grade projects on the base metal side that are really going to become in vogue over the next, decade, is that number one, they're not only high margin, but they're low environmental impact, they're low capital cost. It's like your choice between a big open pit gold mine or a high grade narrow vein underground mine. Those are often easier to compare, and it's the ones that have the high margins, the Fostervilles of the world. Those are the ones that everybody wants to own. You look at the base metal side, what has been the best performing copper company over the past several years? Ero. No question. High grade underground. So that's the type of asset, not just Niblack, but other ones. So to answer your main question, drill results, further marketing, getting that momentum going. And then, well, of course, we'll be doing subsequent raises as we move along. We originally thought we'd have our results by now, but ALS said mid-April, so that's changed things a little bit for us. So
no, I appreciate that answer. I really do, Rob. But it's kind of like name dropping success cases is one thing. I'm trying to work out, what have you learned from, say, those case studies, those success cases, which you can apply to the way that you go about it? Because if it's relying on what's coming out of the drill bit, then that's a kind of it's a bit hopeful strategy. What are the bits that you can control in terms of the way that you move this thing forward? So, because at some point soon, you're going to have to walk into some institutions or existing shareholders or new shareholders and say, do you know what? We've got enough confidence around what it is that we've done so far to tell you how we're going to move this thing forward this year. We just need another, I don't know, X million dollars to do that. And they're going to go, yeah, no problem. So you need to give them a high degree of confidence of how you move this thing forward. And what I'm trying to get at is the detail. And I appreciate you can't give everything away, but I want more.
What is your path to a production decision? And is it a production that, you're going to build it, or are you going to sell it? It's the same path. So this is how we outline how you're going to permit it, how you're going to do the social and community engagement, how you're going to have the indigenous groups involved, how you're going to engineer it, mine it, hydrology. What is your path for the economic studies and the timeline for those, and the path for permitting. So we will be outlining those in the coming months. That is what particularly the institutional investors really want to see. Retail, drill results. Institutional investors, path to production. So it is our intent to appeal to both.
Right. Okay. So I've heard no denials when I keep saying you're going to need to raise some money soon. So are you going to raise some money soon?
Absolutely. Yeah. We are looking at actually just doing even a top-up rate. We want to get back. We're going to be back drilling this month, and we don't want to be getting below $1 million when those results come out, because that's what the institutions know that they have you, and they're going to try and grind you for a cheaper price or a unit. So, but we have some very good, strong institutional shareholders such as Delbrook Capital out of Vancouver, Crescat, which has had all sorts of momentum and really like BMS systems. SK Mining, is one that they've had a big win on. So we'll likely do a small top-up raise over the next couple of months. And then see what the market thinks of the drill results from the Niblack zone. And then there'll be continuous news drill results that should be coming out over the subsequent quarter.
I think that'll be interesting. If there's going to be continuous results coming out, then I think people get a sense of, because the grades are not too bad, actually. These are, it is what it is, I guess, at some point, people are going to want to see what this advanced stage project, as you call it, is capable of becoming, getting some sense of not just what type of project is it, but when they're going to get an idea around the economics,
So to be fully honest, what we'd really like to do over the next several months is to de-risk, show a de-risk profile for this company. The deposit is located right next to the ocean on Prince of Wales Island. There is no space there for a mill and tailings facility. You have to barge the ore somewhere. And barging is something that's, it was done 100 years ago to success. Actually, this, all throughout the Pacific Northwest. So we've been looking at areas in Canada. There's an existing site already outside of Ketchikan that has a pre-approved low-interest loan from the state of Alaska if you choose to go ahead and develop at that site. This is a state of Alaska incentive for developing mining projects. But we are looking at other sites maybe that might have some existing permits that would show a quicker path, that would be less environmental risk in places. So we are steadily working on that aspect to the project, because hey, I won't sugarcoat it. Working in federal lands in the United States, doesn't matter if you're in Alaska or Idaho or Nevada or any of the pro mining states, takes a while. So we're looking at some options where we can de-risk that.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because that's where we're going with the next questions. The other bit of this is because you talk about 6 potential VMS zone targets as well, but right now with the money you've got, you've got to focus, and you're going to focus, and that focus is Niblack, is it?
We're focusing on Niblack drilling, getting drill results out. That is going to that's what our retail shareholders want to see. That's what new retail investors are going to want to see. And doing it in high impact areas, not only for new discoveries, such as in the case of where we just drilled, we just need the assays, but additionally to keep on expanding the current deposits. They are sitting. If your viewers go to our website to see the PowerPoint, you can see where these planned holes are. These are right next to big, wide, high-grade intercepts that, are pretty obvious places to go and drill and to incrementally add tonnage. And again, it's a big, wide deposit. So successful drill holes add a lot of tons to this system. So, we want to really start showing that momentum, not only for existing ore bodies, but to discover some new ones. Finally, we will be doing some geophysical work on the property as well, too. There hasn't been any induced polarity work, which is one of the most effective geophysical tools for exploring massive sulfides. There hasn't been any work done on the property since 1993, and it was all localized to one area. So there's one area that we're going to be following up on. Actually, it was where the bottle of scotch was poured down the drill collar, where there's a 19-meter intercept that was over 6% copper that has not been followed up. So pretty rare to see those. So we're going to do some geophysics around that and do some drilling later on in the summer.
Okay. And finally, from me, how much have you invested? How much of your own cold hard cash have you put in?
Oh, in this, about $250,000.
Okay, and that's meaningful.
And more to come. It's you keep powder dry for financing. So, the same with the rest of our team have all put a lot of skin in the game.
Okay, so what are management sitting on?
So we've got about 16%.
Okay, meaningful. Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rob, I appreciate that. That's a nice little run through of where you're at. A lot going on. A lot more things need to happen. Nice asset. I like the no over promotion bit. We see a lot of pumping and.
Oh, there's a few shareholders that wish I was over promoting a little bit.
Not me. Look, beautiful, Rob. Appreciate your time. Stay in touch and come back soon. Let us know how you get on with it, because obviously it looks like it's got a ways to go, but there's a lot of potential too.
We do have a lot of things pending as well too. I'm somewhat trying to allude to things that we are working on, but it's going to be an exceptionally busy next quarter for us, which the path for success for this company and for stakeholders will be clear.